This is the Mushin Styk. It's a backset ASL, which means that when it's unstrung, the limb tips are forward of the riser. You can see that pretty well there. But when you string it, it still has that gorgeous D shape that we all know and love in our ASLs. What the backset does is gives increased speed in cast. Just an example of the cast on this thing. I'm shooting a slightly heavier arrow than I do on one of my string follow bows that is 7 pounds heavier, and I have the same point on with this bow and a heavier arrow than I do with that string follow that is 7 pounds heavier. So gives you a pretty good idea the efficiency of these limbs and the cast that you get from it. How do I get that? Well, I've gone to, well, I'll show you. This machine behind me is a large CNC machine that is an integral part in all of my ASLs now. And to use a CNC machine, you have to have CAD software to design it. So I designed this bow. That back set that you saw was designed in CAD. CAD software does some pretty neat things. It allows you to see things that you can't see with your eye. And you can do things basically perfectly. And then this machine implements what you put in, what you designed in CAD, and it implements it perfectly, and it's perfectly repeatable. So it does the same thing over and over and over again. So if I tell it to profile a bow, and then I put a new bow on there, those bows are going to have the exact same profile, if that makes sense. Then this machine is doing so much, giving me perfect alignment. It's doing the profile, it's doing the string grooves. Those two things together create are what factors go into alignment. Now, if you can get perfect alignment, a lot of things happen with your bow. Number one, it becomes so much more tunable. It also becomes more efficient. Efficiency of the limbs when they're moving straight forward and straight back, as easy as they possibly can, because there's no hot spots in them. They're incredibly efficient, which affects cast a ton. And so you'll end up maintaining speed further down range, flatter trajectories, that types of things. The other thing that does, because the limbs are, the curve in them is perfect, there's no hot spots, the draw force curve is absolutely incredible. This is actually a 66-inch version. I'll do this in the 66 and the 68. This 66-inch, if you look at draw force curve is basically a linear chart, or a chart that shows a line how much the weight changes as you draw back in different increments. Most people will measure that at every inch. Now, what the change per inch is the difference between, let's say you're checking between 27 and 28 inches. The difference there is the change per inch. This thing does not hit 3 pounds change per inch. Keep in mind, this is a 66. It does not hit 3 pounds change per inch until 31 inches, which is, it's crazy in any ASL. The 68-inch version of this doesn't hit 3 pounds change per inch until somewhere beyond 32. I actually cannot draw on my tiller tree past 32, so with the scale on there, so I have no idea where it actually is. I think it's probably in the 32 3/4 to 33 range would be my guess, because it is approaching it as it hits 32, but it's not there yet. So it's pretty neat to have that smooth of a draw cycle. It's just incredible. Normally, I would, as a guy with a 28.5-inch draw, I would prefer the draw cycle on a 68-inch. But because of the perfect implementation of that curve, which creates really, really efficient and perfectly traveling limbs, it has allowed a really, really smooth draw force curve. You guys are probably looking at the limbs on here. You can see that it's kind of a vintage camel. What that is basically a camel cloth veneer, and it's this one's a vintage camel. I have a bunch of this stuff. I like it a lot. It goes really, really well in the woods, and it just kind of looks old school, which goes with all of us guys that like ASLs. But you can do just about any camel as long as it's 100% cotton. That's the biggest thing, because it does have to absorb the epoxy. Synthetics will not absorb that, and thus you'll have a bad adherence underneath the glass. Now, the riser on this bow is a regular wood riser. This one's Chechen, happens to be, which is a really, really pretty wood. You can kind of see the grains and stuff in that. Really gorgeous. But because it's a wood riser, it is cut outside center. Now, you do have the option in this bow to go to a G10 riser, which will allow me to cut to center, greatly increasing your window of tune, making it much easier to tune, and obviously more forgiving, because your window of tune is now from this to this. And so that's a huge advantage to that. It also adds some mass, but the big advantage of being able to cut to center. The other thing with the G10 riser is, because of that, I can also put in the bow bolt takedown system that is in the Yukon stick that's been so popular. I absolutely love that takedown system. It is rock solid. I have another video on the how-tos, and then also showing that takedown system without a grip on it, so you can actually see the naked takedown system and how the bow does not move at all with that implemented in it. So that's the options on that. Obviously, the veneers, you can do any veneer. You can also do obviously any colored glass that I want, or that you want. The grips will also be choices just like the other ASLs you'll be able to do. This is a straight grip, obviously, which is my personal preference, but a lot of guys like the disc grip, because it does force you to break your wrist and push directly through the center of the tiller. And then also you can do a locator, low wrist locator as well. So again, this is the Mushin Styk. I'm incredibly pleased with it. I think you guys will like it as well. Holler if you got any questions. It'll be up on the website in a few days. And holler if you got any questions. You can reach me on Facebook, Instagram, or by email or phone. Have a great day.